What's going on, guys? Welcome back, and today I am going to be bringing you another book review. Now, today I am going to be reviewing the most recent Star Wars book, and that is Star Wars Ronin by Emma Miko Candon. And this book is based off of the first episode of Star Wars Visions, The Duel, which followed the protagonist of this book, the Ronin, as he defended a village of innocents from a group of bandits. Now, what was interesting about Star Wars Visions was that a lot of the episodes within it were set within familiar territory for us Star Wars fans, but applied, a unique culture and aspect to it. But The Duel was the episode where it was the most unclear where it was set, or whether or not it could be considered part of the Star Wars timeline we're familiar with. This book kind of answers that question. No, this is completely unfamiliar territory. It deals with completely different concepts and themes, and is just this completely different world from what we're used to from Star Wars, and it doesn't fall into the usual trappings that storytellers fall into, where they try to create a different world within a popular franchise, where it just starts to feel like you're just getting a lot of exposition dumped on you about the world. But with this book, it's constantly interesting as you learn more about it. The first 2 chapters are just based off of the first episode of Visions, The Duel. And then as the story progresses, just basically from the beginning of the 3rd chapter, you realize that this is unfamiliar territory, and you realize that they're exploring different concepts than what you're used to from Star Wars. And as the story continues, you meet more of these characters. As the Ronin goes on his adventure, he meets all of these mysterious characters, and as you learn more about them, you learn about their connection to this world Candon has created, and as a result, learn more about the world. So you're basically just learning more and more about this world that Candon has created as the story's progressing, which makes it constantly engaging to read, because she gives you a little bit of information about these characters, but never too much to the point where you feel like you know too much. You find out little tidbits of information, and as the story progresses, you learn just more and more little pieces of information about these characters, and as a result, about the world that she has created. And it's just constantly engaging. You never know what's about to happen next, really, and I thought that was great. And by the end of it, it's a very small, personal, intimate story, and what originally seemed to be this very, epic, wide-spanning story is just a personal, intimate story about this guy, the Ronin. And all the characters within it are very unique, and, in regards to their motives and their personalities, and from the beginning, you think it's this story that's going to be a black and white conflict between good and evil. But by the end, it's actually a story about the gray area, because none of the characters within it are truly evil, but none of them are truly good either. None of them are, really nice people, but they have something about them that kind of makes you root for them. And the character at the beginning that you think is going to be the primary antagonist kind of joins up with the protagonists for a large majority of the story, and that was a unique direction to take that I didn't expect, but it actually worked. Every creative decision that was taken with the story that I thought was odd ultimately worked out by the end of it, and I thought was a good decision. And it just was almost kind of hard to grasp some of the concepts at certain points. They're just very unique moments and chapters, and I had trouble grasping those elements, not because I didn't like them, but because they were so unfamiliar to me. And I really do feel like this is one that I need to read again. You can really tell from reading, the author's note at the end of the book where, Candon's heritage, being a Japanese American, really influenced a lot of the backstory for this world she's created. And that's very interesting to learn about as well. It was just a constantly engaging story and stepped out of the norm for what we're used to from Star Wars. Visions did that for the most part, and I thought that was great, because with a lot of franchises nowadays, they start to bore me because they all start to feel the same. Like, for example, Marvel, even when they deal with something like a different culture, for example, in Shang-Chi, a movie that deals with a different culture from what we're used to from Marvel, still feels like a Marvel movie. But this didn't feel like a Star Wars book, at least not like the ones that I've read before. Visions felt unique for Star Wars and showed that they were willing to step out of the norm for what people are used to from Star Wars. But this book just goes even further. It just creates an entirely different world with unfamiliar characters, unfamiliar planets, and just everything about it is different. It has lightsabers, it has Jedi, it has Sith, and there is an empire that exists within this world, but even that is different. Like, almost the Jedi are kind of the rulers of this empire, and the Sith are the ones that have kind of become extinct, so it's kind of like that element that we know from Star Wars canon of the Sith being bad and the Jedi being good is kind of flipped on its head. And as I said, the story is very morally gray. Neither the Sith nor Jedi are portrayed as either heroes or villains. It's just very unique and different, and I would recommend this to anyone who wants to read and experience a different story within Star Wars. It's a completely different world with different themes and concepts, and it was a very poignant story, and deals with grief and loss and life and death in a very different way than any other story I've read or watched or anything. It was just very engaging, and it's one of the best Star Wars books I've read, and probably one of my favorite Star Wars stories ever told. I loved this book, and as I said before, I would recommend it to anyone who wants to experience a different story within Star Wars, because this book was just fantastic, and I loved it. So, with all that said, that's about all I have to say about Star Wars Ronin. You guys, please let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. Are you going to read the Ronin? Have you read it already? Just whatever your thoughts are, please let me know them all in the comments below. And of course, as always, I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.